The countdown is on with only hours left in the snap fall federal election. The race has been close, with the Liberals and Conservatives staying neck and neck in the polls. NDP and the Conservatives are hoping to paint the riding fully blue, with the Liberals hoping for a third consecutive win. Last weekend, advanced polls broke records for voter turnout, with 5.8 million Canadians voting during the 4 days, according to Elections Canada. That exceeds numbers seen in 2019 by 18%. Another 1.2 million eligible voters opted to vote by mail in this election cycle as a way of staying away from polling stations amidst a fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was a few million short of what Elections Canada had predicted, but still more than double the 500,000 Canadians who voted by mail during the 2019 election. We reached out to the three main candidates running in Nepean to talk about issues that matter most to voters. Only Liberal candidate Chandra Arya denied our many requests for comment. One key issue that's on voters' minds as they head to the polls this election is the skyrocketing house prices. Now here in Barrhaven, they're seeing bidding wars, hundreds of people bidding on just one home, making it a very competitive neighborhood to live in. In August 2021, the average freehold house price in Ottawa was over $730,000, up 12.6%, and the average condominium price in the capital was over $413,000, up 5.9%. It's been an issue which has been widely discussed by all main party leaders this election cycle, with Conservative Party leader Aaron O'Toole making a campaign stop in Barrhaven to promote his party's housing strategy. Nepean Conservative candidate Matt Treemstra says it's an issue he frequently hears about at the doors.
Too many people just can't get into the market and or there's not enough space to rent. So fundamentally, we think there's an issue of supply. We are not building enough houses to keep up with demand. That's why we've got a plan to build 1 million homes in our first 3 years in office.
Treemstra says it's also important to build new houses in areas close to public transit. There's also an issue with foreign investors purchasing homes, he says, with the party releasing a plan to stop that.
And there's also an issue that foreign buyers have been buying these properties and not living here and just using it as investment. And to those foreign buyers, I would say, we'd welcome your investment in Canada, but we're going to ban those purchases if you're not going to live here. And instead, why don't you buy and invest in rental housing?
Sean Devine and the New Democrats also feel foreign buyers are driving up prices, but have a different plan to tackle the issue.
If you're a first-time house buyer, it is nearly impossible because you are competing in these bidding wars that you just don't have a way of winning. One way that the NDP is going to address that is we're going to put a tax on foreign house buyers because they are entering the market as a business, not for a place to live. We're also going to put a capital gains tax on house flippers. It's just not right that deep-pocketed investors are buying multiple homes, not for the sake of living in them, but for turning a profit.
It's often been said that Ottawa is in an affordable housing crisis with years-long wait lists and thousands already in the queue, and that directly impacts places like here at The Haven, which is a multi-faith housing corporation. Acorn Canada, a national low and moderate income families organization, has released their own election platform calling on all parties to make funding conditional, being targeted to households making between $10,000 and $30,000 annually. Jagmeet Singh and the New Democrats have focused a large part of their campaign on affordable housing, and Devine says their party's platform goes farther than any of the others.
The cost of rent is skyrocketing. Being able to find an affordable place to rent is hard. So the NDP, like all other parties, we recognize that there is a housing crisis. We absolutely want to address that. The NDP will put in 500,000 new affordable housing units over a period of 5 or of 10 years, with half of those done in the first 5 years. There will be new affordable housing in Barrhaven.
The Conservatives say they want to build more affordable housing as well and have talked about converting some federal office buildings into affordable housing apartments. And while it's still years away, voters still do care about bringing light rail transit out to Barrhaven. However, after various problems and delays with Phase 1 and a large decrease in ridership due to the pandemic, some are wondering if the plan should be revisited. The 10-kilometer extension of the Confederation line would travel from Baseline Station at Algonquin College to the core of Barrhaven at Marketplace Station. However, it won't begin until at least 2025 when work on Phase 2 is complete. Aaron O'Toole and the Conservatives have already committed to fund the Phase 3 expansions out to Canada and Barrhaven.
LRT is really important to Ottawa. I myself rely on LRT to get to and from work in downtown. I think a lot of people from Ottawa and Barrhaven do as well. We were really excited as a party. Aaron O'Toole announced his support for the Canada LRT to get people moving. It's going to help us in Barrhaven too as we get to and from the Sens games.
But Trimstra says some parts of the plan would have to be revisited because under the current plan, 120 affordable housing units would have to be demolished to make way for the project, leaving about 300 people homeless.
I understand that there's an issue with the city and the province that we are going to be having to move some houses. I think that's affordable housing that is being torn down. We're going to have to address that situation with compassion. As the chair of the Ottawa Mission Board, I saw firsthand what the impact of affordable housing is, and to lose some for LRT is an area that we've got to treat with compassion. We've got to be there for people. We can't afford to lose more affordable housing. So as soon as we can figure all those issues out, a Conservative government will be there as a steady funding partner for the province and the City of Ottawa.
Devine says the NDP are also in support of creating more public transit options, which is also part of their climate change plan.
If this is the area that is drawing the most people who will be coming to Ottawa over the next 20, 30, 50 years, then we have to invest in smart ways to get them to and from work. The second thing, though, I know that, like all communities, people love driving. They love driving to work. And so there has to be a way to incentivize people to use public transit. There can be education programs to help do that. There can be cost measures to make it more affordable for people to use public transit. But the best incentive has to be good public transit. And anybody who lives in Ottawa knows that what has happened with the LRT has been problematic, and I'm being kind there.
Now, throughout this election cycle, polls have relatively remained the same across Canada, with Conservatives and Liberals being tied. Now, as they are projecting today, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals will win a minority government by only about 1 or 2%. Of course, we will have to wait until tomorrow to see if that will remain true or not. And here in the riding of Nepean, polls are suggesting that Chandra Arya will get a third term in office, winning with about 43% of the vote. That's 9% more than Conservative candidate Matt Trimstra. Again, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Charlie Siak, UIN News, Ottawa.